Malaysia or Thailand? Which one is best for retirement and daily living? After spending some time myself in both countries, I found that there are many similarities, but also some key differences to be aware of. As you know, ultimately it will come down to your personal preferences. But to aid you friends in this journey, let's talk about 11 topics ranging from lifestyle, cost of living, healthcare, retirement visas, and more. Please make sure to stick around to see how long $280,000 in retirement accounts can last you in each country. Up first, ladies and gents, is the topic of low cost of living. Regardless of if you choose Malaysia or Thailand, your buying power will increase greatly going from US dollars to Malaysian ringgit or Thai baht. In a nutshell, you can get more for less, more luxury, more accommodations, more eating out. You get the idea. From Numbeo.com, we can see that the cost of living in Malaysia is 57.2% lower than in the US. With rent included, it is 65.8% lower than in the United States. For Thailand, the cost of living is 51.5% lower than in the US and 59.1% including rent. The rent prices in Malaysia are 81.5% lower than in the United States. In Thailand, they are 72.9% lower than the US. In Malaysia, the restaurant prices are 71.9% lower than in the United States. In Thailand, it's 72.8%. And also grocery prices in Malaysia are 51.5% lower than the US. In Thailand, it is 46% lower than in the US. So overall, the cost of living tends to be a bit more affordable in Malaysia. But this is not a guarantee either, and they are quite similar. It will ultimately come down to your location, living space, and your daily lifestyle choices. Those who are big on dining out and partying are more likely to spend more money than those who eat cheaper street foods and don't go out too often. So we looked at how each country is more affordable when compared to the West. But what is the cost of living exactly per month for a single individual in Malaysia versus Thailand? Let's look at expenses if you were to live in the capital cities of each country. According to expatvision.com, the cost of living in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia is 4,894 Malaysian ringgit. With the current exchange rate, this equals about 1,043 US dollars, okay? Now on to Bangkok, Thailand. You can expect around 63,163 Thai baht in expenses each month. With today's exchange rate, that equals about 1,733 US dollars. But I like to think of expenses as more of a range since everyone's lifestyle and spending habits are different. So to live comfortably in Malaysia, the cost of living range is between $1,000 to $1,500. For Thailand, you're looking at around $1,500 to $2,000 per month. Now there are definitely cases where some people may spend even more than these ranges, so these are more of averages for your reference. And also keep in mind that these costs are for living within a city center. Not bad, right? But your expenses can go down a couple $100s or more if you live in less urban areas such as Phuket in Thailand or Penang in Malaysia. Remember that even when living abroad, it's important to use common sense and live within your means or budget. Plan ahead. You can save a lot of money by going to food courts or getting street food, such as hawker food in Malaysia, which tends to be much more affordable than dining in fancy restaurants. You can also go out and shop at the wet markets or find stores that sell in bulk. These are just a few examples, but it's important not to go too crazy when spending, especially when you are in a country with a lower cost of living. Those daily small expenditures can really add up fast. For those of you who have spent time in both Malaysia and Thailand, which one do you find to be more affordable overall? Slap your answer down in the comment section below. Up next, friends, is the topic of having access to quality healthcare. For starters, let's see how Malaysia and Thailand compare by looking at their health index, which measures access to having the necessary services to maintain good health, including health outcomes, health systems, illness and risk factors, and mortality rates. Thailand comes out in the lead with a health score index of 78.9, but Malaysia doesn't trail too far behind with a score of 77.3. Just an FYI here, the highest ranking country health score is 86.9 and is Singapore. The USA is ranked 73.3, so both Malaysia and Thailand have a better health index than the USA, and the UK comes in with a not bad health score of 78.3. To be honest, I was a little surprised myself to see Thailand came out with a higher ranking because of the great things I've heard about the world-class healthcare and medical professionals in Malaysia, many who are trained abroad. The nice thing about living or retiring in each of these countries is that you do not have to worry about finding high-quality healthcare. I should say here that this is the case for main urban areas. If you live in a very rural area, then it may be a bit of a different story. And remember that healthcare is a fraction of the cost compared to the West. The USA has the most healthcare expenditures per capita at 12,555. Yikes. Okay. Let's talk about safety. So Malaysia actually falls into the top 20 safest countries list from worldpopulationreview.com. Thailand comes in ranked in the top 100 safest countries, but does fall towards the latter part of the list at number 91. Both being tourist countries, with Thailand even more so, you must exercise common sense and caution for petty crimes such as theft. As for natural disaster risk, Malaysia has the unique advantage of being relatively low risk for a direct typhoon hit. Let's take a look together now at the average annual natural hazard occurrences in the past for Malaysia. Now let's pull up Thailand and compare. The biggest risk for Malaysia is flooding at over 50% of their chart. Disasters caused by storms are much larger for Thailand, and drought too. A good thing though is that cyclones pose a low risk to the northern parts of Thailand. On to climate, infrastructure, and lifestyle. In both countries, you can experience a tropical climate with warm weather year-round, but there are some differences. For example, Bangkok has a tropical wet and dry savanna climate with dry winters, but Kuala Lumpur has a tropical rainforest climate. From worlddata.info, we can see that daily temperatures are comparable between Thailand and Malaysia. There are slightly more rainy days in Malaysia, and Thailand is hotter between the months of February to May. Now I've got to say that the infrastructure is pretty well maintained in both regions. I was very impressed with how advanced the transportation systems were in KL with their robust train systems. The infrastructure is also well developed in tourist areas such as Penang in Malaysia or Phuket in Thailand. I had no issues with Wi-Fi too, which is nice, but some say that Malaysia overall is better with Wi-Fi connectivity even in rural areas compared to rural areas in Thailand. So it would be difficult for me to say one is better than the other in this category. For those who have been to both countries, what do you prefer for transportation and infrastructure? Okay friends, let's talk about what I think is one of, if not the biggest factors, which is lifestyle. If you're looking to really settle down, find tranquility, and a slower lifestyle, then Malaysia may be your perfect spot. Penang in particular is known for its laid-back vibe and slower pace of life. I also want to thank you, my viewers, too, for giving recommendations of other places in Malaysia to retire besides Penang. Other places to consider are Taiping, Ipoh, or Langkawi. My apologies if I mispronounce any of those. Another benefit to the lifestyle in Malaysia is easy communication. This is a key difference because English is widely spoken there, but not as widely spoken in Thailand. I found this to be true myself and had an overall easier time communicating while in Malaysia. Of course, if you're looking for a bigger city feel, then KL or Kuala Lumpur is a wonderful place. Now on to Thailand, where you can experience both the big city life in Bangkok or the beach party life found in Phuket. Did you know there are actually over 14,000 islands in Thailand, which makes for unlimited adventure? I personally found the lifestyle in Thailand to be very energetic, upbeat, and you can probably find more nightlife there with that party vibe. Now, not all areas are like that, but still, it tends to be bigger on the dating and partying scene. English is not as widely spoken, but I found that you can still communicate well enough in tourist areas. Patong Beach was super fun, but may not be suitable for those looking to settle down, but don't worry, there are of course less crowded beaches you can still visit in Thailand. So, both countries you can experience big city life or laying on the beach soaking up the sun. I'd say the beautiful beaches for the most part win in Thailand, and you'll still be able to find some really nice ones in Malaysia. These two countries are actually very close geographically. For example, you can easily travel with a 2-hour and 15-minute flight between the two capitals, KL and Bangkok. Now what about similarities and differences between the people, food, and culture? Although in both places you'll meet people from around the world, including tourists and expats, in Malaysia you'll experience more of a multicultural environment, with the major ethnicities being Malay, Chinese, and Indian. This of course translates over to the 300 plus festivals each year and the very popular variety of delicious foods. The chicken satay is so delicious, and there are so many wonderful icy desserts to choose from. Thailand food is known for its spices and herbs, and their main dish being pad thai. It's considered the national food of Thailand, which consists of a stir-fried rice noodle dish, often prepared with chicken, tofu, or shrimp. My personal favorite is the Thai masman curry. I can't get enough of it. Over 90% of the population in Thailand is of the Thai ethnicity. This doesn't mean that one country is better than the other, there are just differences, both of which are to be appreciated. The people in Thailand are known as easygoing, self-confident, cheerful, loyal, and respectful. The people in Malaysia are kind and have a very welcoming attitude towards foreigners, are down to earth, and quite generous. One of my best friends is from there. If you're looking for more of a party life, then Thailand is probably your best bet. My experience in Phuket was extremely fun. The beaches, food, people, and atmosphere are suitable for those who like to have fun and a lively time. But if considering settling down and food, then I personally would prefer Malaysia. Remember that in both countries, you have access to Western foods and restaurants, but the food look and taste may be a little bit different than your home country. This is because the taste is mostly tailored to the locals. Next up is retirement visas. Let's start with Malaysia, shall we? As many of you know, the past 4+ years have been quite the roller coaster with all of the changes that have happened. The MM2H visa, or Malaysia My Second Home, has been through many changes, but something really nice about this visa is that foreign income such as your pension is not taxed. You're welcome to check out my other video where I share the latest updates, but in a nutshell, there are 3 categories. We have silver, gold, and platinum. So the silver fixed deposit amount is $150,000. Gold is higher at $500,000, and platinum is $1 million for the fixed deposit. This means that there is quite a hefty financial requirement compared to before. Also, the platinum level is the only category allowed to conduct business, investment, or employment activities. Sure, other levels can apply, but there is no guarantee of approval. A pro or positive thing about the retirement visa in Malaysia is that you only need to be 25 years old to apply. But let's be honest, do most young people have up to $1 million saved up? Probably not, myself included. And one other potential con is that your purchased property must be held and not sold for 10 years. There are also property purchase minimums based on your category, silver, gold, or platinum. You can see all the details in my other video on this channel. Again, I want to say thank you to the community on my channel that also recommended the Sabah or Sarawak MM2H. You may want to consider looking into that as well. On to the Thailand retirement visa. It is broken down for us into 4 steps. First, obtain a non-immigrant visa. Here are the requirements for step 1. Step number 2, obtain a 1-year Thai retirement visa extension. Here are the requirements for step 2. Step number 3, obtain a re-entry permit. And step number 4, report your stay every 90 days and visa expiration. As for financial requirements, you must either have a Thai bank account showing a deposit amount of a minimum of 800,000 Thai baht. With today's exchange rate, this translates to about $21,941. Or if you do not have that deposit amount, you must have a monthly income of at least 65,000 Thai baht. Using the current exchange rate, that's about $1,783. So I mean, it will really come down to your financial ability and personal preference. Also, for visa duration, I'd say Malaysia probably wins. Something good is that with both options, you can receive direct deposit internationally for social security payments. To see the full list of countries, you can visit ssa.gov. Now on to the big question, folks. How long will $280,000 last you in retirement? I really like to use this retirement calculator online where you can input your starting balance or the amount you've saved up in your retirement accounts. Note that this is not your regular bank savings, but in the stock market. In this scenario, let's see how long $280,000 will last you in each country. You can then type in your withdrawal amount or your planned monthly cost of living amount based on the numbers mentioned previously in this video. For Malaysia, we will use $1,700 per month and $1,900 per month for Thailand. Next up is rate of return. I know I say this a lot in my videos, but for those who haven't heard it, it is definitely worth mentioning. The S&P 500 average rate of return since 1957, adjusted for inflation, is around 8%. So we will use a 7% rate of return. But I know what you're thinking. What if there are years of economic downturn or decline? We'll get into that in just a bit. Okay, on to this calculator. In Malaysia, with $1,700 in withdrawals each month and the following starting balance and rate of return, your money can last 454 months, which is 45 whopping years. In Thailand, with $1,900 each month, your money will last you, are you ready? 334 months, which is almost 28 years. So yes, it is less than Malaysia, but still 28 years. Not too bad, right? Now let's talk about the question. What about times of economic downturn? Which is not an if it will happen question, but when. There are some things you can do. First, having an emergency fund saved up to cover monthly expenses so that you do not have to dip into retirement funds. My wife and I hold our emergency fund in a high yield savings account and not in the stock market. market. A fully funded emergency fund is considered to be about 2 years of living expenses. Number 2, live within your means. It's good to not spend all of your money too soon. Living within a budget and even saving additional money each month can be a really good thing to do. Number 3, have multiple sources of investment income. For example, my wife and I have a couple of rental properties that provide us nice passive income each month. It takes discipline and learning, but investing is such a wonderful thing to do now. Now, I know this is not an exhaustive list, but it provides some examples on how you can be more prepared when reaching retirement. So friends, given the topics discussed today, are you leaning more towards Thailand or Malaysia? Please let me know in the comment section and why you feel the way that you do. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel where I share more about living abroad with tips on how to pursue financial freedom. Thank you so much, stay safe, and catch you next time.